Before we get started, one scheduling note. We're going to start moving this press conference to 12:30 rather than 1 o'clock on Tuesday. So we can 12:30 moving forward on Tuesdays rather than 1 o'clock. So it works out better with the coach's schedule. So with that, turn over to Coach Muschamp.
How we doing? First of all, I'd like to congratulate Brian and Amber McClendon on the birth of their third child, Braden, at 4:30 in the morning on Monday. It's an exciting time for the McClendon family, and welcome to the Gamecock family. And Braden's doing well, and Amber's doing well as well. Hopefully get her home on Wednesday. That's what Brian told me, so congratulations. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and the University of South Carolina Athletic Department is supporting curing kids' cancer at our game. Obviously, I have my whistle here. I don't know if I'll be wearing it on game day, but we're blowing the whistle on children's cancer. And this is a great organization. The Owen family started this in 2005, a year after they had lost their 9-year-old son, Killian, to leukemia. Since their creation of this program, they've raised over $10 million to support research for curing pediatric cancer. And again, I think that's a wonderful organization. It hits home with me. My nephew, Jordan, had a bout with cancer and leukemia growing up and has since defeated cancer twice. And an amazing young man that he is, and what he's done and accomplished. Was in remission for 5 years and was able to overcome it again this past year. So obviously I'm proud of our university for supporting this organization and has my full support as well. Louisiana Tech Saturday here at Williams-Brice, 3:30. Again, I want to thank our fans for last Saturday night and the great environment that they created for us. We need to coach and play better. We certainly will. In our preparation starting today, Skip Holtz obviously was an assistant here for his dad and has done a fantastic job at Louisiana Tech. Their numbers offensively has been phenomenal. They spread the field. They create some tempo. They create a lot of issues with you. They got good team speed overall, but certainly on offense with the skill position guys that can run and do a really good job. Todd Fitch, the offensive coordinator, obviously was an assistant here as well. Blake Baker, their defensive coordinator, actually was a graduate assistant for me at the University of Texas and is their defensive coordinator. So they'll be well coached. They were right there with Mississippi State, who's got obviously a good football team this year, and kind of, from a turnover standpoint, a block punt, they had a couple things go against them. The game got away, but it was certainly an outstanding game as I'm watching the tape. So we have our work cut out for us. Again, they had a great victory over Western Kentucky Saturday night in their conference. They're 2-1, so we need to refocus and reset and rebound. That's what we plan on doing, and I'll open up for any questions.
Raise your hand and get a microphone to you. First one will be Dave.
Will, is there an update on Zach Bailey and Dante?
I'm sorry. Yeah, Zach Bailey will be out this week. He's got a high ankle sprain, so it may be a couple weeks. I'll know more Thursday. We put him in a cast to just really limit the swelling as much as anything. And they're going to pull the cast off Thursday morning, reevaluate it then. He certainly will not play this week, and I'll know more Thursday as far as that's concerned. Dante Sawyer's fine. He practiced today, a little limited, but he should be ready to go. I talked to Debo Samuel this morning. He's being discharged, I think, within the hour or two. Again, the surgery went extremely well, and spirits were good.
Hey, Coach, how do you go about replacing a guy like Debo? I know that's almost an impossible task for one guy to do.
Well, I agree. It's not one person doesn't step in and accomplish those things. I think it's multiple guys, and we certainly have guys that we have confidence in and have the ability to be very effective in what we're trying to do. Outside Drake Davis and Ortre Smith, Brian Edwards, Terry Gouger. Those guys need to continue to. Chad Terrell come on for us, and certainly are capable. Shy's going to continue to play in the slot. Drake will get some more snaps in the slot. So we'll continue to try and get the best 11 on the field, and certainly that's what we need to do. Man down, man up, and it's an unfortunate situation for him, but one man's misfortune is another man's opportunity.
Will, did the guys have the right attitude? Did they on the field today? Was there like a mental hangover given the loss and the loss of Debo?
I don't think so. I think that we had a good practice today. It was a good physical Tuesday, which is what we normally have anyways. I think disappointment and being upset, and you got to move on at the end of the day. So that's what I felt today with our guys and our staff. And when you turn the tape on Louisiana Tech, you better move on quick because they got a good football team. So I think that was a wake-up call as much as anything. When we started with special teams this morning, they saw their team speed. They saw offensive and defensively some of the things that they do extremely well, and our guys realized we need to get ready to roll.
Some of the players earlier today said that they felt against Kentucky that they had focus issues. Is that something you'd like to see them sort of acknowledging that kind of stuff after that sort of performance?
I don't know that. I think we played with great effort. I think we competed extremely hard in the game. Let's not confuse a loss with lack of effort, and I think that frustrates me when I hear that because that's not always the case. It's an easy cop-out to say, well, they lost the game. Obviously, they didn't play very hard, or obviously they weren't focused. We were focused the first play of the game. We seemed to be very focused defensively the second play of the game when we had positive results. At the end of the day, it comes down to execution, and we got to coach better and we need to play better. And, we haven't had an issue with offsides throughout training camp, throughout the first two ball games on the road, and we had an issue with it 4 times the other night. So whether it's dialing in, focus, whatever you want to call it, at the end of the day, we need to execute better.
Will, are you satisfied with the offensive play calling?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we like to execute a little better. I think we had a hard time getting in a rhythm Saturday, and you go 4 straight 3-and-outs, but defensively you don't get off the field. You don't even create. It's a team game, and you've got to create opportunities for yourself to get into a rhythm. We got into a pretty good rhythm when Jake completed 16 straight. Would he have liked to have the ball back to Brian Edwards for a touchdown? Absolutely. No question about that. That was a good play call. We'd like to have the ball back to Casey on their sideline. I believe the second play of the game, or second, I'm not positive, maybe in the third or fourth play of the game. But certainly would have liked to have had some of those back. But at the end of the day, we threw for over 300 yards. He was 16 of 16 at one point in the game, which was outstanding. He completed close to 70% of his passes. We need to run the ball better. And a little of that issue, you got 9 running back runs in the first half, 4 in the second half. We're in a little bit of an RPO world right now. We're based on the box, which the first play of the game was an RPO. So we had 3 explosives in the game. We had multiple explosives in the first 2 games because of good decision-making from the quarterback position to the receiver position in those situations because it creates a lot of one-on-ones down the field. But we need to be more effective running the football. That's going to help our passing game. That's going to help everything. It's going to help our defense. It's going to help everything.
Well, following up on replacing Debo, is it necessary to find one guy who can come close to being a consistent producer for you, or can you get it done with just spreading it around, having 2 or 3 more guys step up?
Well, I certainly feel like you can with multiple people, and I look at our tight end position, and K.C. Crosby is a guy that's been a playmaker for us and hasn't necessarily gotten as many touches or looks that we would have liked. He had one the other night on a slant down on the goal line. Hayden Hurst needs to play well for us. I mean, I think it's a collective effort as far as those things are concerned, and I think within the collective effort of the guys we've got are certainly capable.
Coach, have you addressed some of the issues in the kicking game, and where do you guys go from there this week?
Well, the issues were we missed 3 field goals and an extra point. Other than that, our coverage units were outstanding, and they've sky kicked for the most part. Our field position on kickoff return was very good. So the only issue we had in the kicking game was kicking field goals and extra points. Parker White will kick field goals this weekend.
Will, is part of the maturity of an SEC quarterback his ability to kind of lift the team after a tough loss? And do you have confidence that Jake can?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Gene. I think that he's got all the leadership ability, the belief in the team to rebound from a tough defeat and move forward.
Let's go to Josh here in the middle.
Will, I don't know if you saw Ray sent a letter to fans addressing some things that happened in the stadium. The only one of those I guess you would be aware of is the DJ. How did that experience go from your perspective in terms of what you as a team wanted to get out of that edition?
I don't really listen to the music while the game's going on. So,
But did you get the idea that the recruits who were there enjoyed
they
that
seem to
that
like
edition?
it. Yeah, they seem to like it. So I can't really comment further than that. I mean, I don't really know. I'm not real sure what other complaints were there.
Water pressure and just game day experience stuff.
Winning can solve a lot of that.
In terms of in-game strategy, who handles substitutions for the running backs in terms of deciding whether they get carries or who's in on specific plays? Is it Kurt or is it Bobby, or how do y'all go about
Bobby
doing
rotates the backs during the game and situations, and obviously I know you're referring to a 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 at midfield, and we have a lot of confidence in A.J. Turner, and he runs extremely hard. He runs the inside zone extremely well. Certainly when you don't have the results you want, it's easy to question that, and I certainly understand that part of it. But we have confidence in all 3 backs. We had 13 touches by the running backs the other night, and certainly Tyson Williams was in the game for, I believe it was 21 or 22 snaps, and Rico was in for 27 snaps, and A.J. was in for 11. So in those situations, we certainly have revisited not who is in the game, but what we do in short yardage and goal line, and we'll continue to try and improve that situational football part of our game.
What kind of a challenge does Jalen Ferguson present? What kind of stands out about him on film?
Outstanding pass rusher, can affect the game. Ended the game for him last week against Western Kentucky as they're trying to end the game. Gets him the ball back for the end, but a guy that's got loose hips and can really rush the passer. He's a powerful man as far as his rush skills are concerned. He's a guy we need to account for in the pass rush.
Let's go in the middle here. John. Stubby.
How do y'all go about better executing in 3rd and short and 4th and short situations from an offensive line standpoint? Is it more of a technical approach? Is it more of do you challenge their pride a little bit? How do you go about that?
Well, I think it's both. I think in those situations, and we got to evaluate, first of all, schematically what we're doing and revisit some of those things, which we have extensively done since the game, and look back first at scheme and then, challenge the guys a little bit and understand the situational football, being able to get 1 yard. And so I think it's a combination of both.
Without going into too much game plan, do y'all have like jumbo packages, extra offensive line, under center type plays that you can run in those situations as well?
Yes.
Coach, going back to this past week, was it not to run the ball as much? Did you want to throw the ball more, or is this something that you want to improve on, obviously, on moving forward?
Well, again, out of the first 26 plays, we called 13 runs. Now, again, some of those are RPOs. So based on the run box, like the first play of the game, which is a 68-yard touchdown, we're going to give Jake the ability to be able to see a bad run box and throw the ball outside. And so we had runs called when Tyson was in the game. We had some of those were RPOs where we threw the ball in the perimeter. So, again, we've got to be able to create more situations just to run the football, and we will do that. But we also don't want to take the ball out of a guy that's a really good player in Jake Bentley and making really good decisions down the field and creating a lot of the explosive plays we had on offense this year to date in the first 3 games have been through the RPOs. So, again, a lot of those are called runs, but based on a bad box, we're throwing the football.
Yeah, that kind of answered a little bit of my question, but kind of a 2-part question. What were the issues running the ball on Saturday night? What were the issues stopping Snell?
Well, as far as running the football, I think you give more guys touches and more opportunities, we'll get better results in the running game. And, I think we've narrowed down a little bit some things that we can do well, and I think that block the certain looks that we're going to get in the game and narrow those things down. As far as stopping Snell, he had 32 carries for right at 100 yards, which is 3 yards a carry. That's not bad against a good back. The disappointing part was as many positive runs he had after contact. That was disappointing. He had a 12-yard run and a 10-yard run. They had 14 snaps in Wildcat for 17 yards. That's 1.2 yards a carry. That's pretty good defensively. And they had really 44 rushes. I'm talking total run plays for 141 yards, which is right at 3 yards a carry. So, again, could we have been a little crisper tackling? Sure. But that's against a team that's going to run it 44 times and you're going to give up 3 yards a carry. You'd take that going into the game.
3 games in, how much progress have you seen from this defense, and how much farther along and more, I guess, almost coherent is it than it was last season?
Well, we're much improved from a year ago. You just look at us playing the run Saturday night as opposed to a year ago as far as playing blocks and those sort of things. Can we improve? Absolutely. Do we need a lot of room for improvement? That was a much different running game than we faced all year as far as the gap schemes are concerned and obviously the concentration on being able to run the football. So we have a lot of room for improvement. Certainly third down has been an issue. It's something we've got to improve on tremendously. So those are the things that I've looked at, from our defensive standpoint of, being able to get our offense in a rhythm is getting them the ball back. And those are some things we certainly can improve on defensively.
In the last day and a half or so, have you come to any clearer timetable about Debo and what the possibilities are for when he could return?
Really haven't, Josh. We haven't had any conversation with him or the medical staff right now. It's been a tough deal for him. Talking to him Saturday night after the game, and just didn't think there was any appropriate time to address that right now. He's in the hospital, he's getting out, I think, as we speak, or maybe within the hour, and certainly we'll address that moving forward. But I just didn't think it was an appropriate time.
Will, who are your top options to replace Debo at kick return?
Right now, Rashad Fenton is a kick returner and A.J. Stay is the off returner as far as kickoff is returned and concerned, And then, certainly Rico's a guy that can go back. Shot Smith is a guy that can go back. Tyson Williams can go back as a off returner. So we have some options.
Coach, you mentioned third downs. What have you seen as the biggest problem with the defense on getting off the field on third down? As for the right tackle spot, is it still to move Malik over there and keep Dennis over at left tackle?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think third down the other night, the quarterback's legs obviously hurt us in a couple situations. I think they did a nice job scheming us up one time on a speed sweep, and they outflanked us on an 18-yard run by King. I'll give them credit on that. He made a couple throws here and there. I don't know that it was one area that you would point your finger at and say this is the issue, this is the problem. There's some things we just need to tie up and maybe, again, like we did in the run game, narrow some things down as far as what we're doing so our guys can play faster and can, make those plays in those situations. And right now, Malik would play right tackle and Dennis would stay at left tackle. And then, Corey and Allen and Donnell will stay inside. DJ Park's a guy that can play across the board. Sedaris Hutchinson can do some different things for us as far as playing multiple spots. Blake Camper as well. So we've got some guys that got some multiplicity in there.
Let's go back to John in the middle.
Just from a broad standpoint, are you pleased with the way your offensive line has protected Jake?
Well, the other night, I don't feel like a couple, they dropped 8 a good bit. They did a nice job in dropping 7 when they did and matched some routes pretty well, made him hold the ball a little bit longer than we wanted to at times, but you got to give them, they have scholarships too. So, we've when they have brought pressure, we've got a hat on a hat, not always perfect, but we've gotten on the right guys. We haven't cut guys loose. And I've been pretty pleased with the 4-man rush stuff that people have used against us.
Coach, what have you seen from La Tech, what they do offensively? Is anything that you've seen similar, even from teams last year like USF, like a spread offense? I know they put a lot of numbers on the board, but I guess how you feel about your defense going against this matchup?
Well, they spread the field. They play with some tempo. They'll mix tempos on you as far as look back and those things are concerned. The quarterback's got good arm talent and a guy that's also got legs as well. But they've got skill guys all over the place. They line them up in multiple spots as far as those things are concerned, and they do a nice job in the run game as far as the one-back stuff that they do. Again, the numbers that Skip has put up since he's been at Louisiana Tech have been outstanding as far as his offensive numbers are concerned.
Mike in the back.
Well, it's only the third game of the season, so obviously, it's a loss at the beginning of the season. Do you guys, as a coaching staff, remind your players that it's so early in the season and it's only one SEC game that you've dropped so far, or do you just move on from it and leave it?
Just move on and go to the next game. Every week is a one-game season to me, and that's we focus on Louisiana Tech, and you can't look forward and you can't look back.
Anything else for Coach?
All righty.
Thanks.